Top story this week. The world reaches a half-assed deal that won't work to fix the environment. In a dance as old as environmental science itself, humanity has come together to act against its own self-interest once again. A late $300 billion deal basically left everyone leaving the COP29 conference in the dubiously selected host nation of Azerbaijan thinking that, well, basically, we're all f***ed. It was something. It was, in some ways, an ideal compromise. No one got what they wanted. It's not really going to work for everyone. So we are, at last, unified in some aspect of this crisis. The deal was viewed as not doing enough for, any guesses, the richer countries of the world or the poorer ones? Correct. It's B, the poorer countries. Sorry to answer that.
I mean, on the positive, though, tourism for Barbados and Trinidad is going to go up exponentially over the next few years because both of them will disappear.
Good for them. A little, death rattle economy boost. Get it while you can. It's a closing down sale.
I know both of you are huge fans of having a planet that's inhabitable, certainly for the next few decades.
I'm muscle menace, to be perfectly honest.
Honestly, if I didn't have a kid, I'd be with you, Felicity.
Yeah. I've got a kid. I don't know if I want him around either to see this, to watch it. Yeah, it's brutal.
Obviously, when you think about saving the planet, right? And we've seen this in so many different action movies. What do the superheroes do? They immediately go to a conference, right? There's committees, there's group work. They figure out if sanctions have to be drawn up. Like that's what happens. So clearly, it's following in the tradition of like, this is urgent. Quickly, let's get together and talk about it once a year.
Perfect.
That's the other thing. Once a year, this should be every day or every week or every month, something. Once it's like, couldn't save the planet this year. We'll wait another year. Also, they all flew out to the conference, Zoom. They're like the only people that are not working at home. Like, well, we got it. What is this job for? And then they go to Azerbaijan, which is like this major oil hub, right? Like this is
the land of fire. Yeah.
Land of fire, where things just go up in flames because there's natural gas everywhere. It might as well negotiated the deal in hell. Like, what are we doing? And then they invite Saudi Arabia, which is like inviting the drug dealer to the intervention. like what are you doing? And they, of course, kept changing the text. So, because of course, the piece of paper they were writing, it was going to save everything. But like they kept changing the text, which I imagine was something like, we must transition from fossil fuels, and the not was the contribution Saudi Arabia. So they kept having to delete it and start over. And by the end of it, they were working overtime and nothing really happened the way it should have.
Yeah. I mean, COP29, I always think, I know what he does for a job and his age, but what's he like as a person? I'm so sorry. Am I? Not really. I wouldn't have said it out loud if I wasn't a little bit proud of myself. What was astounding is to read that like the COP meetings are usually for environment or foreign ministers rather than finance departments. So this year they had the finance departments. They arrived with no template for how finance discussions should work. Sorry, but no one thought to organise a discussion agenda before COP29? Like, it was booked in advance, yeah? It wasn't just like the WhatsApp group chat and they were like, yo, let's just talk about the environment. We'll just turn up in Bugle and hope there's a spare convention centre. I'm sure that... Like, is this a climate conference or an improv event? Stag do's are organised better than this. I know British men that coordinate a 10-day Eastern European alcohol poisoning road trip that jeopardises their mental, physical and spiritual health that is better organised than this COP. It's insane. And look, I feel like it's so tricky with the environment. I feel like I'm such a bummer now. Like I hear countries I think it was even Ed Miliband was there, and he's like, public finances are really stretched because, developed countries are supposed to be helping finance less developed countries because they're the ones that are going to suffer. When they say public finances are really stretched, I'm like, okay, stop funding wars. Like, I know that I'm dumb. Yeah. Like, I'm a dumb right? I don't know anything. I'm uneducated. I'm bad at maths. But I'm just like, every time I'm like, oh, we don't have any money. Okay, well, what if we close tax loopholes for big business or corporation? Because then we have heaps of money. They're like, yeah, we're just really stretched. I'm like, yeah, but there are solutions. Like, I know. We're just so stretched, though.
But I mean, again, you've seen like whodunit films. You've read, whodunit books. The obvious solution that seems clearly obvious at the start of those films never turns out to be the right one.
Yeah,
so you've got to take
right,
the same
Andy.
approach. You've got to take the same approach to the death of the planet. And just wait until you've dragged out the narrative.
It's not the billionaires, honestly. Yeah. Have a look at wildlife. What are they doing to the environment,
The eventual agreement was described as, quotes, a death sentence for millions and woefully inadequate by campaigners. Defenders of the deal pointed out that those millions will all eventually die anyway, and that it's... so does it really matter? It's just quibbling about the details. And that it's better to be woefully inadequate than joyfully inadequate, which would come across as a bit insensitive in the circumstances. Also, crucially, it gives everyone stuff to work on for the next COP next year and the COP after that one, when maybe they'll have been slightly better organised.
The package was $300 billion, right? Which is 1.3 Jeff Bezos's, or 1.5 Mark Zuckerberg's, or 52 Mark Cuban's. Just if you wanted to know.
Right.
I've got a calculator app on my phone.
So could we just pledge? I mean, if we pledge Mark Cuban, if Mark Cuban pledges himself to the environment, do you think that would start a stampede of other hyper wealthy? We just need another 52 people of.
He's got like a cult vibe about him. Well, I mean, to be fair, all billionaires do. How do you think they get their money? It's certainly not through hard work.
Again, it's these simple solutions you come up with that are just hopelessly naive, Felicity.
I'm sorry.
You've clearly not costed it out.
I told you, I'm a dumb mate.
So are you suggesting that, Elon Musk, obviously, spent a lot of money on Twitter and turned it from Twitter into the eighth circle of hell, shortened to X, just for convenience's sake. But I mean, I'm not sure that he could really define himself as, you've got to think of his own personal self-esteem. If he thought he was doing good for humanity, I mean, I don't know where would be the motivation for him to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah. And he'd be lonely. Yeah, he wouldn't be surrounded by other dictators and fascists and people trying to suck the planet dry so they can build a rocket ship and start a new society on another planet. You're right, Andy. I haven't even thought about it. It's really stupid of me. I'm sorry.
I mean, at this point, that's the thing. I think this is plan B for the billionaires now, saving the planet. Their plan A, they've made it very clear. They're out of here. Yeah.
Plan B is for bye, bitch.
Yep.
India's delegate, Chandni Raina, said that the document, the agreement at the end, is little more than an optical illusion. Which is a nice way of putting it. It's like one of those magic eye puzzles. It doesn't look like anything when you first look at it.
I'd read that.
But if you just relax your eyes and stare blankly through it, eventually you'll see the image of a weeping penguin saying, "Why are you melting my hope?"
He's crying. He's crying because there's not enough military in the Antarctic.
Yeah. I guess also another fact to take into account is there's no point rushing into saving the world when Donald Trump is coming into the White House. As a proud skeptic of a viable global future. And there are rumours, Harry, that at the inauguration in January, he's going to ceremonially shoot a polar bear dead to send a sharp warning to the environment that he's not going to compromise.
Do you think he's going to do it, or do you think he's going to pay somebody to do it? I'm going to pay somebody to do it. He doesn't. He's not a big fan of doing things.
Yes. Of course, there are other meetings at COP conferences, including some quite exciting new technology. Some promising a nuclear reactor that can fit into a conventional domestic microwave oven, which I think could really save the world. And a home fossilizer machine, which can put your vegetable waste, your carrot peelings and your uneaten Brussels sprouts, your unwanted wood chip wallpaper, into your home fossilizer, and it accelerates the fossilization process down from several million years to just 25 years, meaning that you could have your own household supply of environmentally friendly coal, oil and gas by the year 2050, when net zero will, of course, have been achieved. We can all give ourselves a pat on the back and get back to burning stuff like God clearly intended when he invented the fossils. It's not all bad news.